Hello, everyone, and welcome back to another segment of the Westmore Central College Admissions Interviews. My name is Shannon Donnelly. I am one of the counselors here at Central, and I am here with Miss Carolyn Nicholson from Worcester Polytech Institute. She's the Regional Assistant Director of Admissions for the New York City area. Is that correct?
Yes, thanks so much for having me today.
Yes, we are thrilled to talk a little bit. So tell me a little bit about yourself and WPI.
Sure. So a little background on me. I'm one of our regional representatives based in Westchester County in New York. I've been in admissions and college counseling for about 9 years now. Been on both sides of the desk in admissions and on the high school side as a college counselor. In terms of WPI, excited to be able to share a little bit more about it with your students today. WPI is a STEM school based in Worcester, Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. Worcester is a small city in central Mass, about an hour outside of Boston. I think you kind of get the best of both worlds at WPI, and that campus itself feels super suburban. You've got that big classic quad where you see people throwing a frisbee, tanning when it's warm out. But just a mile downtown is the small city of Worcester, and there's lots for students to do there. Tons of great restaurants, music and theater venues. And I should also mention there are 10 colleges in Worcester, so you'll always be meeting other college students when you're out and about.
I love that. So it feels like a very young, happening area.
Definitely.
Cool.
In terms of kind of our areas of study, we have over 50 different areas students can pick from, including 10 engineering majors. I think engineering is what we are most known for, and we definitely have some strong programs in that area. Other popular majors are computer science, data science is big on campus as well. We have a cool game development program. Biotechnology is popular. And then we also have a great business program too. We're definitely known for a focus on project-based learning. So it is not just lectures all the time at WPI. We really look for students to kind of apply that knowledge that they're learning in the classroom. With that, a lot of team-based work. So in our admissions process, we are really looking for students who thrive in that group setting. And letters of recommendation tend to really tell us a little bit about what kind of role a student plays in a group.
I love to hear that, actually. I feel like that's pretty unique, especially almost with a STEM school. I feel like engineering can be a very, like solo career if you want it to be. So it's nice that you do a lot of this project-based stuff that does encourage teamwork and collaboration. And I think our students here are great collaborators. So I think this is an interesting draw for our type of student.
I'm glad to hear that. And I know some STEM schools can have that kind of competitive reputation, but definitely not at WPI. We love that group work. And we have a number of cool projects that I can talk a little bit about kind of throughout this conversation today.
Sure. Why don't you tell me your favorite thing about WPI?
Sure. I think my favorite thing is the interactive qualifying project, which is a project students do for a quarter of their junior year. We're on a quarter-based system. And students work in a team typically of about 4 students, and they're going to be of other majors than you. So you'll be bringing your mechanical engineering expertise or computer science expertise to your group. What I think is really cool about this project is that almost all of our students do this project off campus, and most students do it abroad. So going abroad is really built into our curriculum, and you have over 50 locations you can pick from. Our study abroad is definitely different than that of other colleges, though. You're not just going to a university abroad and taking coursework. You are actually doing some kind of project to benefit the community that you're in. So some neat things students have done in the past. Last year, we had a group go to Albania, and they started the first high school robotics team there. I know you've got a great robotics team in your school, so
I love that. Yes. That is really
We had another group last year go to Ecuador. They worked with the soup kitchen to help them go green and be more environmentally friendly. So some really neat stuff students are doing. I think kind of getting to that point about my favorite part is I love that WPI provides a scholarship for all students to study abroad, up to $5,000. So it really makes it accessible for everyone. We recognize that a flight to Australia, Italy, wherever you're going can be expensive. And the scholarship can really help offset any of those extra costs.
That is so unique, and I really am very interested about that. Very cool. Can you tell me a little bit about the campus culture at WPI?
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think students can really be themselves on campus, whatever it is that they like to do. If that's staying home on a Friday night playing video games, there are tons of students who love to do that, which is great. Or if that's perhaps joining a fraternity or sorority, that's also an option for students. We do have Greek life on campus, but it's about 25% of students who participate, which I think is a really nice number, and that it's there if you want it. But if you're not looking to get involved, it doesn't dominate the social scene in any way. All of our Greek organizations also, their events are open to the whole campus community. So you don't have to be a member in order to go to something that they're putting on, which I think is cool.
I think I read somewhere, it must have been like on the website, but a student had mentioned something about being able to be an engineer, but also let her like inner theater kid thrive at WPI, which I think is unique for a STEM school. So many times they're going to be focused so much on those technical aspects, but being able to have some of that like other stuff on the side is very cool. And I think is also, a draw for our students.
Definitely. Tons of our students are involved in music in particular. We have a great marching band on campus, a jazz band, a rock band, a number of a cappella groups. So we see a lot of students involved in music, either extracurricularly, or I should mention, we do also, while we are a STEM school, we require our students to take 6 courses in the humanities and arts. So we definitely kind of value that other perspective. And a student who loves STEM and something else can still get that at WPI.
Amazing.
Cool thing about that requirement is you pick how you fulfill it. So if a student, hates English class, you never have to take an English course at WPI. You could do that all in music, in theater, in a world language. Totally up to you.
Amazing. That is really, really cool. What are some fun traditions at WPI?
Yeah. Oh, good question. There are a bunch of them. A lot of people say their favorite is the bridge crossing. We do a bridge crossing twice during a student's experience at WPI. During orientation, when they start, they cross over the bridge, and all faculty, staff on campus, administration come out to really welcome students into our community. And then when students graduate, they cross over the bridge the other way, kind of, recognizing that their time on campus has come to an end, but really celebrating them. So that's a super meaningful one.
That's cute.
I also love that our students celebrate a lot of unique holidays throughout the year. Pi Day is a big celebration, which is great. There's also a celebration for our mascot's birthday. We have a goat mascot named Gompy. So they celebrate his birthday with cake, t-shirts, things like that. So that's super fun. And homecoming is a big event on campus too. They have something during homecoming called the Goat's Head Rivalry. Again, our mascot, the goat, where the first and second year class do a whole bunch of contests to see who wins the goat's head. Starts off with a big tug of war rope pull contest, which is a lot of fun.
So you mentioned like homecoming. I know you mentioned marching band. How about the sports? There's athletics and stuff that students can get involved in if they wish?
Definitely. We've got 20 D3 athletic teams. Students definitely like to go out and support their peers. A number of our teams have been pretty successful the past couple of years. Our women's rowing team actually won the D3 national championship 2 years ago. So that was very exciting.
Very cool.
Lots of opportunities, though, to do sports, on that club or intramural level if you don't want to continue on a varsity level. We have, the traditional club soccer, basketball, things like that. And some really just kind of fun club athletic teams. There's actually an underwater hockey league, which I think is super unique. I have heard it is a ton of fun to play, not so fun to watch, given that we can't quite see what's happening underwater.
That is so funny. I love that. Very cool. So in terms of majors, obviously this is a STEM school. You said engineering is really big, computer science is really big. Any up and coming majors? There's things that are really growing fast for you guys, or, you know, if I have a student who says I'm interested in blank, I should say you really need to look at WPI.
Yeah. We were the first school to offer an undergraduate major in robotics engineering. So that is definitely a big focus for us, robotics on campus. So anyone interested in pursuing robotics, I think WPI is a great spot for that. I also think our interactive media and game development program is really cool. That's definitely a growing area. And at WPI, you can kind of focus in on whatever area of game development that you're passionate about, whether that's kind of that more tech computer science side, the art side. We also have a track for writing and for audio, which is pretty cool.
It is really cool. And these students, like even a game design student, is creating participating in one of those projects that you talked about earlier. So they're using their expertise through what they've learned in that type of program. That's so cool.
Definitely. All of our students do a big project in their senior year, which we call the major qualifying project. And that can be either research focused, whether that's doing something like cancer research. It can be design focused, you know, building a robotic device to help make spinal surgery more efficient. Or it can actually be something sponsored by a company. Our computer science students can then go out to Silicon Valley for part of their senior year and work with a company like Disney or eBay and tackle whatever project they've laid out for our students.
That's really neat. I really, really love that. Okay, so let's talk about costs a little bit. I know you mentioned earlier that you guys even offer very cool scholarships to make studying abroad accessible to students. So when we're thinking and we're looking at a sticker price of a school, that's really jarring for a lot of students and families, obviously. But that's not what students are actually paying, of course. So can you tell me about like tuition and then financial aid and all the good stuff you've got at WPI?
Definitely. So our sticker price is expensive, or about $58,000 for tuition and about $18,000 for room and board. As you said, though, vast majority of families are not paying that number. Most of our admitted students receive a merit scholarship, and then grants and other financial aid awards can really help bring that cost down for families. In terms of merit scholarships, we have automatic consideration for all of our merit awards. And then we do have a couple of additional specific robotics scholarships. I know that you've got a great VEX robotics team, and we do have some specific awards for students who are involved in VEX. The winner of that scholarship gets a $20,000 award, which is pretty great. And we have a number of runner-up scholarships too. So I encourage anyone involved in your robotics team to check out those scholarship opportunities.
Amazing. And now you said automatic consideration, which I love to hear. Do students need to submit test scores to be considered?
So we are actually test blind. We were the first STEM school to go test blind. So we do not consider SAT or ACT scores at all in our admissions process. We feel that a student's performance in high school over the course of 4 years is a lot more meaningful than a test they spent 4 hours on.
Amazing. Love that as well. Okay, so beyond the test scores then, because that's not considered, what type of student are you typically accepting in terms of like GPA, rank, extracurriculars? What are you looking for?
Sure. I would say first, kind of just in general, we're looking for students who are curious, creative, collaborative, as we spoke about. That's a big thing for us. Since we are not looking at test scores, a student's transcript is really the biggest part of our review process. On average, our average admitted GPA is about a 3.9 on a weighted scale, though we admit students with great, GPAs above that and below that. Mm-hmm. We're looking to see how a student has performed in their coursework, of course, and then looking really closely at the kind of classes they've opted to take. Really looking for students who have challenged themselves in high school, particularly in those areas of math and science, given our STEM focus. We do have one kind of hard requirement in our admissions process is that students have to have taken at least pre-calculus before coming to WPI, as Calc 1 is the lowest level of math that we offer on campus.
Very good to know. That's very helpful. So you're mentioning a transcript, which obviously is a huge factor in admissions. And I'm sure, a school profile plays into that, right? So what is a student taking based on what we at Westmore Central offer? So we are an IB World School, and we offer both the IB Diploma and the IB Career Program. And one of our career pathways is STEM focused, which allows students to really kind of dive into STEM and robotics or anything else, coding, whatever kind of suits them best. How would IB affect a student's candidacy for you guys?
We love the IB program. We know how tough it is. It's a tough program and think it prepares students really well for college. And as a STEM school, it's great to see students opting to take some higher level courses in the math and science areas. So we definitely recognize the rigor of that program, and that stands out in our review process.
Nice. So let's say a student we offer a number of STEM-based courses. The student's applying to WPI isn't in the IB program and maybe hasn't taken advantage of many of those STEM courses. What does that look like to you?
Sure. We do definitely like to see that students are kind of challenging themselves in STEM. Perhaps that applicant may be a little bit less competitive in our review process when they, when the high school does have the opportunity to take advantage of some of those more challenging coursework in that area. We certainly do accept a number of transfer students each year. So if a student maybe hasn't kind of hit some of those requirements, hasn't taken, pre-calculus or calculus in high school, certainly we see a number of students each year who opt to do a year at a community college or elsewhere, and then apply as a transfer to WPI, and we see really thrive on our campus after that.
Amazing. Very good to know. Can you walk me through your review process a little? I'm just curious what it looks like at your school.
Yeah, certainly. Before I do that, I did also just want to mention, kind of going back to the scholarship piece and the IB program. For students doing that full diploma, anyone who gets a score of 40 or higher is guaranteed a merit scholarship of at least $25,000 to WPI. So that's just great to know for any students going for that diploma.
I'm writing that down because that's crucial.
Awesome.
I love it.
In terms of kind of our review process, I really appreciate that at WPI, we do a qualitative review first. So a student's transcript is the last thing that we see in our process. We are reading a student's essays, looking at their extracurricular activities, and reading their recommendations all before we see any of those numbers. So we're really trying to get a sense of who they are as a person before we delve into that. And our review process is really kind of based around our mission and our core values, which is, I think, really nice. So we are looking for evidence of those values in each student's application: achievement, innovation, respect, community, and inclusion. So it's great if students can find ways to kind of demonstrate that in their application to WPI.
That's cool. That's very cool. So obviously the essay is big for you guys. This is almost one of the first things that you're looking at in order to get to the next level or the next review, I guess. So how much does that really factor in, this essay, to a student's overall application?
Yeah, essay is, I think, a student's opportunity to really tell us who they are outside of those numbers. So it definitely is an important part of our process. I know the essay gets talked a lot about, but I think what perhaps gets discussed a little bit less sometimes are those supplemental essays. We do have one of those, and that is also something we look closely at. Our supplement basically asks why you're interested in WPI, which really allows us to see who is going to be kind of the right fit for our community. I know that students have a number of supplemental essays to tackle as they go through this process, and they can be a little bit of a pain. But I really encourage everyone to spend some time and be thoughtful on those, as a good supplemental essay can really stand out in the process. I always say, think about whether you can swap out the name of the college for something else. And if you can, that's not going to stand out. If you could use the same essay for WPI, for RPI, or Northeastern, then it's not quite as strong as it could be.
That's really good advice. I'm probably going to use that when I am working with students through their supplementals. That's great. How else can a student really make themselves stand out to you guys?
Sure. I would say, looking at what a student is involved in outside of the classroom is also big for us too. It is definitely great to see some kind of STEM involvement, whether that is robotics, as we spoke about, Science Olympiad, a coding club. We certainly value leadership too, and it's great to see students involved in some kind of team, with our collaborative group work at WPI. And other things that can kind of stand out, students involved in any kind of STEM program in high school, whether that's research focused or anything like that, I think stands out in our process.
Very good. Amazing. And finally, to kind of sum it all up, if you could offer one piece of advice to a student who's kind of going through this college search and application process, what would that be? No pressure.
I think my best piece of advice is to start early. So this is less helpful for any seniors listening to this, but for any sophomores or juniors out there, really encourage students to kind of start the process early. I find that makes it a lot less stressful come senior year. Encourage students to start narrowing their list and working on their applications and essays. Really utilize that summer before your senior year. The more you can get done over the summer, the less stressful senior year will be. I'd also say trust your counseling staff. We're lucky to have a really great counseling team. We're a great resource. So use them and trust their advice.
Yes, thank you. Coming from a former high school college counselor, thank you. I love to hear it. That's perfect. Listen, thank you so much for your time. I think you've given a ton of really cool information to our students and families. I think we both used the word unique a million times because WPI is so unique and you guys really stand out in such an amazing way. And I cannot wait to really talk to my students in more depth about WPI. So thank you again for all of your time.
Of course, I'm so glad to hear that. And as we wrap up, I realized there is just one thing that I didn't mention that I think is also unique about WPI. Is that students can change their major a lot on campus. So I think there are a lot of juniors and seniors out there who think maybe they want engineering, but they don't know exactly what kind. WPI is a great spot for that. We have a super flexible curriculum. One of our tour guides last year changed her major 5 times. Still graduated in 4 years and is now.
That's impressive.
So I always like to share that. Also kind of unique with our admissions process is when you're admitted, you are admitted into all of our programs. So again, makes it really easy to switch from biomedical engineering to computer science or vice versa.
Amazing. Just 2 more amazing factors about WPI. So again, thank you so much. We so appreciate your time.
Thank you. Thanks for listening, everyone. And please feel free to reach out to me if you have questions about WPI after listening to this session. You can find my contact information online. My email is cnicholson@wpi.edu.
Beautiful. Thank you so much.